Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Do you remember this piece of news coming from Ukraine and the Western media stating that the Russians destroyed that pizzeria and there were some foreigners killed over there and the people were just minding their business and the Russian terrorists blew it up? Remember that one? Yes, it occurred on the 27th, I think, this month. So I have now the Russian version of what happened, and supposedly 2 generals and about 50 officers and some mercenaries were blown up in that attack. Not only in the pizzeria, but in the town. So, who should we trust? None. So I'm going to use here Ukrinform, and I'm going to use Sputnik to talk about the same issue. I'm going to start with Ukrinform. First, if you remember, they said that almost 140 residential buildings were damaged in Kramatorsk due to a missile strike on June 27th. Alright, and we go to Sputnik, and it is 2 hours ago, updated. 2 Ukrainian generals, 20 foreign mercenaries destroyed in strike on Kramatorsk. Russian Ministry of Defense claims. Russian Defense Ministry reported on June 28 that a point of temporary deployment of the commanders of the 56th Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in Kramatorsk was hit. 2 Ukrainian generals and up to 50 officers of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, as well as up to 20 foreign mercenaries and military advisors. You know what that is, the military advisors? Were killed as a result of a precision strike by the Russian military in Kramatorsk on June 27th, the Russian Defense Ministry said on Thursday. Those are foreign. I have a gut feeling. I'm quoting, according to the updated information, as a result of a high-precision strike at the point of temporary deployment of the 56th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in the city of Kramatorsk in the Donetsk People's Republic on June 27th of this year, 2 generals, up to 50 officers of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, as well as up to 20 foreign mercenaries and military advisors participating in a staff meeting were destroyed, the ministry said in a statement. Military advisors. Up to 530 Ukrainian soldiers were killed or wounded in the Donetsk direction in the past day, the Russian Defense Ministry said, adding that Kiev also lost 10 pieces of military equipment. According to the ministry, Ukrainian forces have continuous attempts to attack in Donetsk, South Donetsk and Krasny Liman directions. So let's go and see what's going on here. On June 28, Russia's Defense Ministry reported that a point of temporary deployment of the commanders of the 56th Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in Kramatorsk was hit. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov asked about the Kremlin's attitude towards Kiev's statement that civilians were allegedly killed as a result of the Russian strike in Kramatorsk, said Russia does not attack civilian infrastructure, but hits military infrastructure-related facilities. Alright, so let's go to the Ukrainians now. In this article, as noted, 18 apartment buildings and 119 private houses were damaged in the city as a result of the explosion of the Russian Iskander missile, one of them. Besides, the buildings of 2 shopping centers, 7 shops, 4 schools and 2 kindergartens were damaged. Now, I don't believe this. I'm going to be straight with you. They just destroyed 2 shopping centers, 7 shops, 4 schools and 2 kindergartens. How many hospitals? 25? I mean, really? 2 Okay, not impossible, but I give it 1% that this is the total amount. Does it happen? Yes, it happens, but really focus just like that. The pizzeria building that was hit by the missile was destroyed. Also, 12 cars were damaged. The City Council notes that all relevant services are involved in eliminating the consequences. So, on the evening of 27th of June, Russian troops launched 2 missile strikes on Kramatorsk. One missile hit a pizzeria in the city center. Among the 12 people killed were a 17-year-old girl and 2 14-year-old sisters. The second missile hit the village of Bilenge. Okay, well, I have a lot of questions, but let's look and see where Kramatorsk is. And I will use this Russian map, not because it's Russian, but because it's the clearest one that I can use, where it shows Ukraine. It shows the parts of this country here, and contact line. I like it, this one. It's very easy to look over. I'm very familiar with it. So Kramatorsk is right here. Right here. This is Bakhmut, and this is Kramatorsk. Let's see what the Russian says on the 28th about this. Russian forces struck a temporary deployment point of the command staff of Ukraine's 56th Motorized Infantry Brigade. Now, doesn't mean that this is true. This is what they say. So, you make your mind up and decide who is telling the truth. I think they're both exaggerating and both lie by omission and exaggeration. But the fact is that the pizzeria was blown up, and who were in the pizzeria, if that was the pizzeria, remains to be seen. The Russians obviously claim they hit this, the other ones know they hit teenagers, and so on. The point is, people die and other people count their money. So that's my problem with all this. Cousins or brothers are killing one another, which are the Ukrainians and the Russians, and strangers are just taking advantage of this. A lot of profiteers just by luck and profiteers by design. So this is my big problem with all this. All this could have been solved many years back. Maybe if we can, turn back time, we could go to maybe 2013, before the 2014, and prevent that coup from occurring, that, illegitimate change of regime in Ukraine that was recognized immediately by the democracy champions. That's very strange. If that would have happened, let's say, in France or in the United States of America, that would have been obviously condemned, and for good reason. But since it happened somewhere where they were okay, they worked with those guys. After the toppling the legitimate, democratically elected president and government of Ukraine. But this is just to show you a little bit how the rule-based order, global world order, would look under the United States of America's tutelage or hegemony. You don't believe me? Just look in the past 30 years, and you have plenty of evidence to support this not only statement. I think it's a reality, but to come to bring this reality, you have to bring evidence. You have a lot of it in the past. Besides this one, you can see the invasion of Iraq, Afghanistan, the bombardment of Libya, the occupation, illegal occupation, current occupation of Syria by US forces, not legitimate, it's an occupation of a sovereign country. You have the bombardment of Yugoslavia, and I can go on and on. So if you think that as a country outside of United States of America would like to live under this kind of rule-based world order, then you're not going to be, how should I put it, I don't even know. You're going to be a slave. You're going to be a vassal state. And if you want to be that way, well, it's your choice. The problem you have, you, meaning the leaders of these countries, you have a population, and you are responsible for the well-being of your population. And since you don't know better, you just become a vassal state so you can stay in power and protect your people. This war is just horrible, because I don't believe it's, I don't believe, it's not believing, I don't think, my assessment tells me and told me from the very beginning, this is not about Ukraine, it is about Russia. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart. look for the truth and be just. And after Russia is about the global hegemony, which is China next and all that. Russia is just the main competitor that needs to be put aside, and then taken China into the side. See you later.